He had one rule, a single rule he followed for more than 15 years. In every saloon, at every card table, in every dangerous town across the American frontier, never, ever sit with your back to the door. That rule was the only reason he was still alive, while faster, younger, more desperate men kept trying to kill him just to say they'd taken down the most feared gunfighter on the frontier. But on August 2nd, 1876, inside a dusty saloon in Deadwood, Dakota territory, he broke that rule. Just once. And it was the last thing he ever did. In this video, you're gonna find out why a man who survived duels, war, and ambushes made the one mistake that actually mattered, and what was written on the 5 cards that fell from his hand the moment his body hit the floor. Cards that still carry his name to this day. James Butler Hickok was born in 1837 in Illinois, the son of farmers who hid runaway slaves in a tunnel beneath their barn. He grew up believing the law was something you enforced with your own hands, not something you waited for the government to provide. Still young, he moved to Kansas Territory, where the line between law and crime barely existed at all. During the Civil War, he served as a scout and, according to accounts never fully confirmed, as a spy operating behind Confederate lines, a job that demanded nerves of steel and the ability to lie straight into the eyes of a man who could kill him in seconds. It was there, in the chaos of war, that the nickname was born, Wild Bill. No one is entirely certain how he earned it. Some versions say it came from a standoff, where he single-handedly held back an enraged mob. Others say Hickok himself helped spread the legend. And that uncertainty, who this man really was behind the myth, is something that would follow him to the very last second of his life. In 1865, in a public square in Springfield, Missouri, what historians consider the first documented quick-draw duel in American history took place. The exact kind of showdown Hollywood would later turn into a cliché. Davis Tutt, a former friend-turned-rival, was holding Hickok's pocket watch as collateral on a gambling debt. Hickok demanded it back. Tutt refused and dared to wear the watch in public as a taunt. The two men faced each other across the square, roughly 70 yards apart. Witnesses say Tutt drew first and missed. Hickok didn't. One shot, straight through the chest. That day turned Hickok, instantly, into a national legend. Newspapers back east ran wildly exaggerated stories about the deadliest gunfighter in the West, inflating the number of men he had supposedly killed. Some accounts at the time claimed, with zero evidence, that he had over 100 confirmed kills. The truth, as it almost always is with Hickok, sat somewhere between fact and the myth manufactured by the press. And secretly, he liked keeping people guessing. Years later, as Marshal of Abilene, Kansas, one of the most violent towns in the United States at the time, Hickok made a mistake he never forgave himself for. On a chaotic October night in 1871, in the middle of a brawl on the main street, surrounded by dozens of drunk, armed cowboys, Hickok fired at a silhouette running toward him with a gun in hand. The shot was perfect, but the man who fell dead wasn't an enemy. It was Mike Williams, his own deputy, running to help him. Hickok had killed, with his own hands, the man rushing to save his life. Witnesses said he was never the same after that night. He quit the badge just months later, and never again accepted an official law enforcement job. What few people knew at the time was that Hickok's own body had already begun betraying him, quietly. Around 1870, his eyesight started to fail, likely from glaucoma, or a progressive condition possibly linked to syphilis, something he carefully hid from almost everyone. Picture that for a second. The most feared man in the West, whose entire reputation rested on drawing faster and shooting straighter than any opponent alive, slowly losing the ability to see clearly. He became paranoid. He started sleeping in a different place every single night, never telling anyone in advance where he'd be. He was seen picking fights in broad daylight, convinced he was being followed by shadows that may have existed only inside his own deteriorating mind. The legendary Wild Bill was, little by little, becoming a frightened man, and he knew it. That's the state he was in when he arrived in Deadwood in 1876, an illegal mining camp thrown up almost overnight on sacred Dakota land after gold was discovered in the Black Hills. Shortly before, he had married Agnes Lake Thatcher, an experienced circus owner older than him, one of the few people who could see the exhausted man hiding behind the legend. Friends later reported that in the days before his death, Hickok wrote his wife an unusually melancholic letter, almost as if he sensed something coming. Some say he confided to other players, on the very night of August 2nd, an unusual feeling that this would be his last day. He even tried to back out of that poker game, but he gave in to his friends' insistence. And when he finally sat down that afternoon, every seat facing the wall was already taken. For the first time in years, Wild Bill Hickok had to sit with his back to the door. The game was already underway when Jack McCall, an unknown gambler who had lost money to Hickok the day before and received, in return, nothing but advice to eat something before playing again, walked in through the saloon's back door. No one paid him any attention. McCall stepped up just a few feet from the table, raised his revolver, and fired a single shot into the back of Hickok's head. No warning, no confrontation, not even eye contact with the man he was about to kill. Wild Bill Hickok, the gunfighter, who had survived wars, duels, and ambushes for decades, died instantly at 39 years old, without even having time to reach for his own weapon. The cards slipped from his hand and fell across the blood-stained table. 2 black aces, 2 black eights, and a 5th card that no one to this day has ever been able to confirm with absolute certainty. Some say it was the Queen of Clubs. Others swear it was the Jack of Diamonds. The exact truth of that 5th card was lost along with the witnesses that afternoon, and maybe that's exactly why the legend never died. Jack McCall was tried in Deadwood by an informal camp jury and, incredibly, acquitted on the claim that he was avenging the death of a brother who, it later turned out, never even existed. But Deadwood was, technically, land not officially recognized by the United States government at the time, which made that trial legally invalid. McCall, believing he'd gotten away with it, made the mistake of bragging about the murder in another town. He was arrested again, tried by a legitimate federal court this time, found guilty, and hanged in March 1877. The combination of cards Hickok was holding in that final instant spread through newspapers, campfire stories, and cheap novels sold across the country. Decades later, it would officially become the phrase every poker player in America still recognizes today, the dead man's hand. And here's where the real irony reveals itself. The man who built his entire legend on reflexes, precision, and the ability to never be caught off guard was killed without even the chance to react, from behind, by a stranger, in the one chair he had spent his whole life avoiding. Wild Bill Hickok didn't die as the invincible hero of the stories he himself helped spread. He died as a tired, nearly blind man, perhaps already sensing his time had run out, sitting in the one seat he swore he'd never take. And maybe it's exactly that contradiction between myth and man, between legend and the fragility hidden behind it, that makes the story of Wild Bill Hickok one of the most fascinating and most human of the entire Old West.